ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलाम्। आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। भर्जनं भवबीजानां अर्जनं सुखसम्पदां तर्जनं यमदूतानां राम रामेति गर्जनम्। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजाः पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। I'm so happy to be with all of you. Somehow, one weekend of not being with you, I felt, I don't know, I was missing something very significant. I had thought that I was at the tail end of my sickness, which I still think so. But I thought that tail was an elephant's tail, something short. It's turned out to be a crocodile's tail. It's long and taking longer than I had anticipated. But thank you for joining. I'm delighted to be with you. Plus, add to the delight that Sita Devi and Hanumanji are talking to each other. And then the other layer on top of that is that they're talking about Sri Ramachandra. Sita Devi had asked Hanumanji, if you are really a messenger of Sri Ramachandra, can you please describe how Ramachandra looks? And she asked some questions. Katham uru, katham bahu, how are his thighs and how are his arms? And she had also asked before that, how is it possible that Vanaras and Rama and Lakshmana can even make friendship? How did that come to being? She asked that first, and then the characteristics of Sri Rama and Lakshmana. Hanumanji will answer it in reverse order. He will first speak about the bodily symptoms or indications of Sri Rama and Lakshmana, and then answer how they came into becoming friends with Sugriva and his army. Now, although Hanumanji says, I will speak about Rama and Lakshmana, he only speaks about Rama. And the understanding is that exactly that matches for Lakshmana. However, because Sita Devi is pining for the company of Lord Ramachandra, and it is a very intensified sense of separation and love, speaking about Lakshmana like that would not be appropriate. So we have to derive or deduce that Lakshmana is being spoken about, because he will say, I'm going to speak about both of them. So where we left off was the 6th verse of chapter 35. Hanumanji says, Jananti batadishtyam mam vaidehi pariprachasi bhartuhu kamalapatrakshi sansthanam lakshmanasya cha. He says, Jananti vaidehi. You already know exactly how Ramachandra looks. You also know how Lakshmana looks. But Prichasi, you're asking me. And he refers to her as Kamalapatrakshi, one who has eyes in the of a petal of a red lotus. And that word Kamalapatrakshi is important because you'll see once he starts describing how he describes Sri Ramachandra. And so he says, Dishtya, this is a great fortune that you are asking me to tell you the characteristics and symptoms of bodily indicators of Sri Ramachandra as a Mahapurusha. So he says, I'm going to speak to you. He says, Yani Ramasya Chinhani Lakshmanasya cha Yani Vai. So all of the symptoms or bodily features of Ramachandra and Lakshmana, Lakshitani, distinguishing marks, Vishalakshi, oh Sita with big eyes, Vadataha, Shrunu, Tanime. Those I will speak, please hear. Now he's going to talk about Lakshmana, but immediately the verse describes about Ram. All the verses will describe about Ramachandra. And this chapter has 89 verses. So there is absolutely no way, the way I'm speaking, that will finish in one session. I even doubt if we'll finish in 2 sessions, but I'll try my best. Here Hanumanji refers to Sita Devi as Vishalakshi, because as he's telling her, oh, it is great fortune that you're asking me to speak about Ramachandra, all the features that you already know. Her eyes have become bigger than even how big they were, because she's eager. And he's seeing in her face that eagerness, and therefore he refers to her as Vishalakshi. Vishala Akshi. And on our WhatsApp group, I sent you this fantastic verse. This is considered one of the best verses in Sundara Kanda. Anytime anybody is under any kind of trouble, apparently this is the verse to remember and recite. And there are many verses. Entire Sundara Kanda is beautiful, but this is among the beautiful verses. This is considered like a crowning verse. Ramaha Kamalapatrakshaha Sarvasattva Manoharaha Rupadakshinya Sampanna Prasuto Janakatmaje. Lovely verse. I'll say it again. Ramaha Kamalapatraksha Sarvasattva Manoharaha Rupadakshinya Sampannaha Prasuto Janakatmaje. The direct translation is, O daughter of Janaka, Janakatmaje, Ramachandra or Rama has eyes like the red lotus petal, Kamala Patraksha or lotus petal. Sarva Sattva Manohara. He can steal the minds of all living beings. Rupa Dakshinya Sampanna. He is very richly endowed with beauty, Rupa, and Dakshinya, politeness or charm. And Prasuto, that is how he was born. He was born with these qualities. There is another alternative reading for this verse. In some versions of Ramayana, the second version of verse appears, and it goes this way. Ramaha Kamalapatraksha Purna Chandra Nibhanana Rupadakshinya Sampannaha Prasuto Janakatmaje. So the only difference is, in the first version, we hear the word Sarva Sattva Manoharaha. In the second version, we say Purna Chandra Nibhanana. Purna, full, Chandra, moon, Nibha, glow or hue, Anana, a face that is glowing like the full moon. All right. Let's take word by word. Ramaha. Actually, the Acharyas comment that Hanuman didn't have to say anything beyond this word. If he had just said Ramaha, that itself was sufficient because this word contains everything. The reason he is called Rama, because that's the name, not just the name of this person, but that is the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You say Krishna means the one who is the all attractive. Rama is the source of all pleasure. Every living entity is Sat Chit Ananda. The Supreme Lord is also Sat Chit Ananda. That Ananda feature is Rama. The Supreme Lord is Ananda, Anando Brahma. So the reason he was given this name Rama, one, because Vasishta knew this is the Supreme Lord who has appeared. And sages have been meditating on him for thousands and thousands of years, even before he appeared. So the word Rama applies because it's that he is Ramayati iti Ramaha, because he's always in a state of pleasure. There is no concept of sadness or displeasure in Ramachandra. Ramayati. Another reason he's called Rama is anyone who comes in contact with him cannot be in distress. Ramayanti iti Ramaha. Actually, this is not a class on the glory of the holy name because that will take a long time. There are ample classes on the theology of the holy name. I encourage you to hear them, read about them, because that word Rama encompasses the entire theology of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is invited by his name Rama. Ramante Yoginaha Anante Satyanand Chidatmani iti Rama Padena Aso Param Brahma Abhidhiyate. Abhidhiyate means is known as. The Param Brahma, the Supreme Personality, is known as or known by Rama. And it is that word, iti padena, by this word, by repeating this word, Anante Yoginaha, all unlimited yogis, Ramante, are deriving great pleasure just by repeating the name Rama. So I am doing like 1/1,000,000th of justice for the word Rama, because since I said it's not about the theology of holy name, but that one word Rama gets Sita to be completely in ecstasy because it is her favorite name of a personality. Sri Ramachandra was named Rama by Vasishta and Dasharatha because that is the deity that was in their home for generations and generations and generations. That Supreme Personality called Rama was worshipped by Lord Brahma, who then gave the deity to Manu, who gave it to Ikshvaku, and in the Ikshvaku dynasty, this beautiful deity of Rama, the Supreme Personality, was being worshipped. As soon as Dasharath had this beautiful boy, he was born, Vashishta and Dasharatha knew that the best name to offer him would be Rama. Now, it is the same Rama who has appeared. So in all ways, in all senses, that name Rama gives the greatest delight. In a song by Tyagaraja, he says, Sri Rama, Jaya Rama. Why my mind cannot simply recite this name Rama? Why not? And all these great persons, and he goes through a list. What kind of meditation on the name Rama that must they have done that he came into their family? So he says, what did Kausalya do? How much tapasya Kausalya must have performed that this little boy Rama sat on her lap and played? How much tapasya did Dasharath Maharaj do that every day he would say, Rama, come here. Rama, go, come here. Constantly, the whole day, he was reciting the name of Sri Ramachandra and just completely absorbed looking at his beauty. What kind of austerity did Narada do to get the realization about the glory of Sri Ramachandra etc., etc. So this word Rama encompasses the entire totality of the personality of Godhead. Then Hanuman says, Kamala Patraksha, large eyes. It is said that the eyes are so big that this end extends almost to the ear. Of course, each one of us can have our imagination, but the Lord cannot fit our imagination. But Sri Ramachandra's eyes were so big that they would extend to his ears almost. And in that large eyes, there was the big black iris, a very clear white part which is called sclera. And in that, one or two streaks of reddishness. That is how a lotus petal is, that there are a couple of streaks of reddishness in it. Now, in verse 6, he referred to her as Kamalapatrakshi. So she matches him in all respects, especially in this one, because it is that this is how they fell in love with each other. They looked at each other in Mithila. Now, in Valmiki Ramayana, we don't hear it. But in Kamban's Ramayana, and Tulsidas Goswami Ramayana, we hear that the previous evening, their eyes met each other. And he was stunned by her Kamalapatraksha style eyes, and she was completely lost in his eyes. And so Hanuman, who has seen both of them, has recognized that they are a perfect match for each other. In fact, Kamban says that Sita Devi needs thousands of eyes to fully drink in the beauty of Sri Ramachandra. Sarva Sattva Manohara. Sri Ramachandra pleases every living being, not just human beings. As Ramachandra was moving about in the forests of Dandaka, it is said that the sages who had been meditating for thousands and thousands of years and had completely given up any attraction to anything mundane, whether it was nature, the women, money, they had completely surpassed any taste. They had actually disgust for anything like that. Yet when they saw Sri Ramachandra, they were stunned. In fact, they were stunned to such a degree that within their heart, a lot of amorous feelings came up. All their Shringara Rasa or Madhurya Rasa came to its full blossom. But because Ramachandra is Maryada Purushottama, they couldn't express to him, or he wouldn't receive it from them just yet. So what to speak of sages who have who have gone beyond, transcended is the word I was looking for, who's gone beyond any mundane tastes. What to speak of them? Animals, birds, trees, creepers, rivers. They all became stunned and attracted to Ramachandra's beauty. Not only those, Hanuman is saying, by saying Sarva Sattva Manohara, Hanuman is saying, if you look at us, monkeys have one characteristic. They're extremely restless. They cannot sit quietly for more than a second. They're always fidgety. Even such fidgety monkeys have become completely enthralled by this personality, Sri Ramachandra. He has captured our minds. Manohara. He has stolen our minds. Now, if the other version of Purna Chandra Nibhanana is taken, then Kamban compares. Kamban had a little dilemma, apparently. He says that I realized that the eyes of the Supreme Lord are like the lotus petals. Then he thought, what is the best analogy for Ramachandra's face? Someone told him, why don't you compare it with the lotus itself? Because there are certain body parts of the Supreme Lord that all represent lotuses, which will come later when Hanuman is describing. In Tulsidas' song, we hear Navakanja Lochana Kanja Mukha Kara Kanja Pada Kanjarunam. So all these pairs, the two eyes, the beautiful face, the soles or the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet represent a reddish hue like a beautiful lotus. Kamban said, no, I want to have something unique to describe his face. Then someone said, well, then you compare him to the moon. Kamban said, nah, not the moon. The moon is not a good comparison. Now, although all poets do describe, here it is Kamban's poetic and devotional dilemma. So take it in that spirit. He said the moon, no, the moon is not a good description because, or a good analogy, because the moon is full and bright and pleasing only once in a month. For 14 other days, he's becoming diminished. And for another 14 days, he's slowly, gradually growing into full splendor. That is not Ramachandra. He is a full moon always. Plus, there is something about the full moon. Even the full moon has some spot, has some defect in him. So no. So there is a Puranic story of why the moon goes through phases. Chandra had married 27 of Daksha's daughters. And those 27 are called the Nakshatras. Although they're all his wives, he had, and he still has, special affection for Rohini. He would always want to be with Rohini. So the other wives or sisters of Rohini went and complained to Daksha. He never pays any attention to us. He's always with her. He never pays any attention to us. So Daksha went and told Chandra, hey, you have 26, 27 other wives, 28 nakshatras, so 27 other wives. Share or spend good time with each one of them. He said, yeah, sure. But then again, it was only with Rohini. So Daksha got very angry and he cursed Chandra to have tuberculosis. Or the way by which he deteriorates. So Chandra cried, oh, why are you cursing me like this? So he said, all right, for half the month, you will diminish and one day you will not be seen at all. And then for the other half, you will slowly wax until you come to the full moon stage. That's a Puranic story, why there are phases of the moon. And Ramachandra's face is so beautiful, like we said earlier, that Kamban says Sita Devi needs thousands of eyes. Although each eye of her is so beautiful, big, and capture so much, it's not enough that she would need thousands and thousands of eyes. All right. Rupa Dakshinya Sampanna. Now here, the words Rupa and Dakshinya are a conglomerate of Rupa means the physical aspects of his beauty, bodily features, that which is visible. And Dakshinya refers to his qualities that are not necessarily visible, but are experienced. For every person, for anyone to become likable, they need to have both. Because what the world can see are the rupa, the bodily features. But if a person doesn't have good character, then the person is not necessarily likable. They're just an object for the eye, but behind one's character, if it's not strong enough, then it's not attractive. And the other one is even if one has good character, but if they're very unattractive, then it is hard for people to relate to. Of course, beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. But for Ramachandra, this phrase is not valid, because there is nobody who can say that Ramachandra is not beautiful. Anyone else in the world, we might say, some people say they're good looking, some people say they're not good looking. Some people may say, oh, such and such person, yeah, they're handsome. Some will say, no, they're not. But for Ramachandra, it is exclusive, universal, that anybody who sees Ramachandra feels, oh, amazingly beautiful and handsome. So Rupa is visible, Dakshinya or qualities are experienced. So Rupa pleases the eyes. Dakshinya or qualities, they please the mind. Now, a person who has great handsomeness or beauty, there is a risk or a danger that they can become very arrogant. So one may say, oh, Ramachandra is very handsome. Is he arrogant? Then Hanuman says, no, Dakshinya Sampanna. He also has very good character associated with it. And this word Dakshinya has many meanings. One, it means dexterity. He has a sense of expertise in whatever he does. It also means cleverness, politeness, and gentleness. All of the words mean Dakshinya. And in the entire pastime of Sri Ramachandra, there are times when we see his dexterity in the way he kills Tataka, let's say, or he kills Kharadushana and Trishiras, cleverness in how he answered Vali when he was and killed him, politeness, how he behaved in the presence of the sages, Atri Rishi, etc., and gentleness, how he treated Sugriva, Jatayu, Lakshmana, Sita, anybody. Ramachandra is very gentle. That doesn't mean that he doesn't correct them, but he has a very unique style of correcting anybody, and that is his greatness, his Dakshinya. I'm going to digress for a moment and take you to Paduka Sahasram. In one of the Paddhatis, Vedanta Deshika describes that the Paduka, generally the entire Paduka Sahasram, the 1008 verses written about the shoes of the Lord, although there are two, they are always described as Paduka Devi, as if they are one. However, in some verses, he addresses them individually. And one such verse, he says that the right foot, called Dakshinya, and the left foot are competing with each other. The right foot is rushing forward to tell all the devotees how kind and gentle and loving the Supreme Lord is. The left foot is also competing with the right foot, moving forward, telling the devotees, no, actually he's very, very madhura. His lotus feet are very sweet. And the right foot says, no, that may be the case, but he's also very loving and kind. And that's how he describes that the 2 feet, that the 2 shoes are singing the glory of each of the foot of the Supreme Lord. And the word used there is Dakshinya, Madhura and Dakshinya. So one may say, oh, Ramachandra is a handsome person and he has all these qualities. Maybe he learned them somewhere. He went to a gym, ate a certain diet and built his muscles. Maybe recently, if you see his picture, then he's really good looking. Hanuman says, no, prasutaha. This is how he was born. These qualities, this beauty is from his birth. It is not something that he has gotten over time. Because there are some people who in their childhood don't look attractive at all. As they age, they look better. Some people, they look really good when they're young. And as they age, as the body becomes withered, all the handsomeness and beauty goes away. Even qualities deteriorate, or over time they are taught by somebody, etc. Not in Ramachandra's case. Prasutaha. These are not practiced. They are inborn for him. His inherent nature is such, and so are his beautiful features. And then he calls her Janaka Atmaja. Now this verse begins with the word Rama, ends with Janaka Atmaja, and between are all the wonderful qualities. As the daughter of Janaka, the reason he's calling her Janaka Atmaja is she's the daughter of Janaka. Janaka is considered the most cultured, the most sophisticated, educated, realized personality in the universe. He's a Mahajana. And his daughter means she's also equally or similarly cultured. And by these words, she will be able to pick up what they mean for her. And therefore he addresses her as Janaka Atmaja. So she can appreciate everything that Hanuman is speaking, because it takes one with good taste to appreciate the finer, luxurious things. One has to have some good taste. Then Hanumanji continues. Tejasa Aditya Sankashaha Kshamaya Prithvi Samaha Bruhaspati Samo Buddhya Yashasa Vasavopamaha. Tejasa Aditya Sankasha. When it comes to his effulgence, you can equal him to the sun. Kshamaya Prithvi Samaha. When it comes to forgiveness or forbearance, he's just like Mother Earth. Brahaspati Samo Buddhya. When it comes to intelligence, he's like Brahaspati, the guru of the demigods. And Yashasa Vasavopamaha. And in terms of glory, he's equal to Indra. Actually, he's being compared to all these persons. He's the source of all of these qualities for them. But remember, the Valmiki Ramayana refers to Ramachandra very much like as if he's human, because that's how he appeared in this world. So to be able to be compared to such great persons is actually a glory of those personalities, not Ramachandra's. But as if he were a human, he's being compared to the great residents of the higher realms. Then a famous verse, it appears again and again in Ramayana. It appears when Narada Muni is speaking to Valmiki Rishi. It appeared few chapters ago when Hanumanji is speaking, and appears again. Rakshita jivalokasya swajanasya bhirakshita. Rakshita swasya vrittasya dharmasya cha parantapaha. Ramachandra is the protector of all the living beings. What to speak of his own people? He's the protector of everyone's dharma, his and others as well. He makes sure that everyone follows their dharma. Parantapaha. And he makes sure that he can subdue his enemies. Ramo, O Bhamini, O wonderful Sita Devi, Rama, Lokasya Chaturvarnasya Rakshita. Ramachandra protects the four Varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Maryadanam cha lokasya karta karayita cha saha. And as far as Maryada is concerned, Ramachandra never crosses the border and doesn't allow anyone also to. He keeps everyone within the boundaries of Dharma. And he protects the four Varnas, which in one sense talks of Ramachandra as a human being or a king. It also speaks of Ramachandra as the Supreme Lord, because he is the one who has created and he nourishes and protects the four Varnas all times. Then he says, Archishman Archito Atyartham Brahmacharya Vartate Sthitaha Sadhunam Upakaragyah Pracharagyascha Karmanam. He is luminous and highly revered. He observes the vow of brahmacharya, self-control, all 14 years. Absolute brahmachari behavior. In fact, a person can be a grahastha and still be known as a brahmachari when the only time that they have a sexual encounter is for having a child. Sadhunam upakaragyaha. He is very, very keen in catching even the slightest favor done to him by sadhus, by anybody actually. Pracharagyascha karmanam. And he's aware of all the ways and methods by which one should administer a kingdom. And one should follow the certain traditions and methods for either worship or administration. In a commentary called Shiromani, the commentator gives us the meaning of the word archisman. Archisman is luminous. He quotes the Shruti Shastra, and we referred to this in our Paduka Sahasram class. This is from Kathopanishad. It says, Tasya bhasa sarvam vibhati. Sarvam idam vibhati. That by his effulgence, he illuminates the entire creation. Then he says, Raja Vidya Vinitascha Brahmananupasita Shrutavan Shila Sampannaha Vinitascha Parantapaha. The word Vinita appears twice in this verse. Because wherever there is knowledge, you have to have Vinita. Otherwise, we know a person can become arrogant. Krishna says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. Without Vinaya, Vidya is useless. It actually brings a person closer to their death quickly. So he says, Raja Vidya Vinitascha. He has the greatest of knowledge, but along with that, he is very humble. Brahmanam upasitaha. And he is very devoted to the Brahmanas. Shrutavan Shila Sampanna. He is very thoroughly learned. He has heard from his gurus and he knows all the Vedas. Shila Sampanna. Very, very good character. Vinitascha Parantapa. And very humble as well. Yajurveda Vinitascha. He has learnt very humbly the Yajurveda and he is an expert at it. Veda Vidbhischa Pujitaha. And he is respected by all the Vedic scholars. Dhanurvedecha Vedeshu Vedangeshu cha Nishtitaha. He knows Dhanurveda, he knows the Vedas, he knows the Vedangas, and he is very fixed in them. So he's not just knows something roughly, does a Google search for something. He knows them inside out. Vipulamsho Mahabahu Kambu Girva Shubhananaha. Gudha Jatrustamrakshaha Ramo Devi Janaishrutaha. Devi, O Sita Devi. Vipula Amshaha. Ramachandra has broad shoulders. Mahabahu, very, very strong arms. Kambu Griva Shubhanana. Kambu Griva. That his Griva, his neck, is shaped like a conch, Kambu. And Shubhanana, very, very pleasing face. Very auspicious, as they say, countenance, presence. Gudha Jatru. His arms are round and fleshy. Tamrakshaha, the eyes are coppery, meaning that in the white, the sclera of the eyes, there are streaks of red. Devi Janaishrutaha. This is how he is known all over the world. His speech is Dundubhi Swana Nirghosha. When he speaks, he has a very deep baritone voice that sounds like the beating of this very resonant drum. Snigdha Varnaha. He has a very beautiful darkish complexion that is shining. Pratapavan. And he is the one who is always victorious. Samaha samavibhaktangaha. Samaha. Every body part is excellently symmetrical. Samavibhaktangaha is that not only along with that everything is symmetrical, that they're also very well proportioned. Varnan Shyamaha Samashritah, and his entire body is very, very well proportioned. There is nothing big, small, too short, too long, nothing. On the horizontal axis, everything is well symmetrically placed, and vertically, everything is in the perfect proportions. He's neither too tall nor too short. That is how far we can get today. Let's see if you have any comments or questions or thoughts. These verses are a great meditation on Ramachandra's Rupa. But this form is revealed from the word Rama. Actually, the word Rama, sometimes we refer that the Nama brings forth Rupa, Guna, and Leela. True. What is also true is the Nama itself is the Rupa, Guna, and Leela as well, because it is the holy name that has a form, a feature, and qualities and pastimes. And the named and the name are non-different. So he started with Rama and is going through one by one in a general way the features of Sri Ramachandra. So let's say you have anything you want to share, some reflections, questions. I want to show you something after that. Okay, seems like nothing. One of my god sisters who lives in China has been very deeply moved by the Ramayana. Somehow she had that experience when our spiritual master took us to Hampi and Ayodhya over a course of a couple of years. It made such an impact on her. And then in Chinese tradition, apparently, they have many books in their tradition that there is called the monkey god or someone, that is Hanumanji. So he has been in China, Hanumanji has been in China for hundreds and hundreds of years. So she wanted the Chinese audience to be able to get a closer grasp of the Ramayana. So she took it upon herself, and especially Chinese government, we know, is not so amenable to religion, I guess, but she found a way because of the connections in the Chinese culture to Hanumanji. And she took His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj's book and got it translated into Chinese. And recently, that book got printed. You see it? Let me see. I can show you. Yeah, this is the book. And this is Bhakti Vikas Maharaj's translation. She's done a fantastic job of creating the Ramayana in Chinese for the Chinese audience. And by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, this book has beautiful pictures depicting the Ramayana pastimes, the descent of Ganga, how Mohini Murti, Parashurab, Ramachandra leaving Ayodhya. Fantastic service she has offered to Prabhupada's movement. So I got this book as a gift a few days ago. And since we hadn't met last week, I wanted to show you that how one devotee's inspiration brought Ramayana into China. Okay, anything final comments, anything at all from you?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Kritalakshan Das. Thank you for the nice class. Does Valmiki Ramayana speak about Lord Ramachandra's complexion being green anywhere?
He always says Shama, Shama. In the Rama-Raksha Stotra, he is referred to as Durvadala Shama. But otherwise, it doesn't say necessarily greenish. It just says Shama Varna, darkish complexion.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I've been reading chapter 1 of Ayodhya Kanda and Sthira here.
Oh, yes, Tira, sorry.
So Canto 1 of Ayodhya Kanda has somewhat similar description of like when Dashratha is thinking, I will coronate Rama as the king, and then Valmiki describes all the wonderful qualities of Lord Rama that Dashratha is thinking why he must coronate him as the king. So I was just taken to that portion, the verses like text 9 to 34 of chapter 1, where all the different qualities of Lord Rama are being like thought of by the Shraddha and being described by Valmiki, and as a parallel to what Hanuman is describing to Sita.
Yes, and then when Dashrath Maharaj says, this is why I'm thinking, they all immediately say, yes, 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 he should be. And then he was surprised. Hey, for 60,000 years, I've been your king. You are so delighted that Ramachandra should be the prince regent. What are some of his qualities? And then all the sages, ministers, they go one after the other, verse after verse, chapter after chapter, describing Ramachandra's glories. So from starting to end, that is what it is. Because that is how Ramayana was born. Valmiki Rishi asked Narada Muni, Konvaswin Sampratam Loke, Gunavan, Kasya Viryavan, Dharmagyasya, Kritagyasya, etc. And then what Narada Muni spoke is what Valmiki Rishi elaborated on. You know, I didn't say to you earlier, when Hanumanji is describing Ramachandra as Kamalapatraksha, previously, even Surpanaka glorified Ramachandra and Lakshmana. Tarunau, Rupa Sampannau, Sukumarau, Mahabalau, Pundarika Vishalaksho, Chira Krishna Jinambarau. So some commentators ask, just as part of the joy of churning the topic, whose description actually is better? And obviously we might say Hanumanji's, but they tongue-in-cheek, as if teasing, say actually Surpanaka's is. Because Hanumanji is a devotee or a messenger of Ramachandra, and it is natural that he will speak favorably and in a glorifying way. But Shurpanaka, even in greatest anger and pain, when her nose and ears were cut off by Rama and Lakshmana, when Khara asked, who did this to you? She had not even one bad word to say about Rama and Lakshmana. She says, Tarunau, Rupa Sampanna, oh, those young, handsome boys, young men that I've completely given my heart to, cut off my nose and ears. And where she says, Pundarika Vishalaksha. Actually, when you say Pundarika, you don't have to say Vishalaksha. Pundarika means the big, broad lotus petal. It already means it's big. Then why Vishala? Because, being in the community of devotees, we have a tendency of speaking in hyperboles and exaggerating. Very, very, very grateful. What are some phrases we use for the hyperbolic style of speaking? So there, Shurpanaka is speaking in hyperboles, and we read it as Pundarika Vishalaksha. But they say that actually the way she described it to Khara is Pundarika Vishalaksha. That is how she was describing to Khara. The eyes of Rama and Lakshmana were so attractive. So the entire Ramayana, even those who have a sense of animosity or something against, speak glory of Ramachandra. Tara, Ramachandra is killed Vali. The arrow is right in his heart. Tara comes running. And she has nothing but wonderful things to say about Ramachandra. That is the nature of this personality. So thank you, Stira, for making that connection for us.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Radha-Dutta here. Dandavat Pranam. I was thinking of the shloka that Shurpanaka says, and thank you for making the connection with the Brahmacharina, because she does mention Tapas Brahmacharina also. And I was wondering, why is she saying Brahmacharina? Because she knows that Lord Rama has a wife. So does that mean the connection that you were saying today, that even though, she recognized that?
Yes. Plus, they're dressed in such a way that it shows that they've taken a vow of brahmacharya, because they're moving around like ascetics. And tapasau brahmacharino.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you. And also, I think you had mentioned this before, but I just want to see if I understand correct. So earlier in the class, when you started, you said that Mother Sita asked about how Lord Ramachandra's like arms, his thighs are. So I was wondering, why would Mother Sita ask a messenger of Lord Rama about the thighs? Because that's such an intimate part that I would assume only Lakshmana would know. Even a messenger would not know. But I think you had told this before, that it is an intimate thing. So she wanted to know that, is he an intimate messenger? Is that the correct understanding?
It's correct. She's testing, because now certain things only she knows. And like you said, at best Lakshmana may know. But when he says, I've come on behalf of Ramachandra, she wants to know, is he really that intimately well aware of Ramachandra? So katham uru katham bahu. That's one level of it. Another level is that from a tattva perspective, for a disciple to, or a student to first to know whether to accept someone as a guru, they have to test them. So we said that a student tests the teacher or guru before, and then the teacher tests the student after. So part of the test is, do you know the Purusha Sukta? Can you speak the Purusha Sukta? The Purusha Sukta speaks of the arms and thighs and all the body parts of the Supreme Lord. So it's in a way of asking, the disciple asking, we know that Vedic verse, my brain is very foggy, so I can't recall those verses, but the Vedic verses that say that one should hold Shamit wood and Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. Shrotriyam is that they should have heard the Vedas from their guru. They should have heard transcendental subject matters from their guru. So she's testing, do you know transcendence, or is it just that you're good speech? Nowadays, anybody who dresses up and calls themselves some name become very popular as gurus. They in fact have the names also like that. But the real one is who not just professes stuff, but actually is grounded in Vedic knowledge. So that's what she's asking, because she's indirectly asking, do you know the Purusha Sukta? That is how a student needs to test, you know. You remember, many times Prabhupada would get the question, have you seen God? The person themselves have never seen God. They don't even know what it is. But they ask, have you seen God? So this is, in one sense, that question. Have you seen God? And Prabhupada's answer will always be, yes. And if I show you, how will you know that that is God? So it has layers of why that question is asked. But yes, you're right. She wants to know if he also intimately knows him.
Thank you. I have one clarification from, not clarification, question from last class, but I'll wait if anybody has anything more from this class.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I have two questions, but let me see if this time we can have. One here, towards the end of the class, you mentioned about Vidya Vinaya Sampanna, and you brought a very interesting connection saying that without Vinaya, Vidya only brings a person closer to death.
Right.
And so part of this, and we also see, we heard and we understood today that Lord Ramachandra has Rupa Dakshinya. He is both having his exquisite form and is expert in various ways. He is dexterous, Dakshinya.
Dakshinya is
Some people,
also, literally in this case, sorry to interrupt, Dakshinya in this case means polite, gentle.
and so now I'm trying to make a connection between the Vidya here and the Rupa here. Many devotees or many devotees in the beginning stages, they get attracted to the form of the Lord, like the deity form, painting, etc. Not everybody gets attracted to reading scriptures. It's a very tough thing. And hearing lectures is something which is a little bit more easier in the beginning, but over a period of time, both this even hearing lectures also becomes more like a passive thing. The speaker puts all the effort, and the person who hears, he or she samples whatever they like, and it is not an active endeavor for most devotees. And there are some for whom it's a very active endeavor, but I'm speaking about the rank and file as such. So then the question that comes on what, how do we move forward? Some people would say that they just get attracted to the deities, but even that becomes very tough to sustain after some time. They say, I was so attracted to the deities 3 years ago, but now I'm so familiar with the deities. I don't see that attraction. And so somebody may say that let us hear the qualities of Lord Ramachandra and let us get attracted even more. But that also seems to be tough. So how to get this Vinaya when the access to the Vidya seems to be blocked by our conditioning, and even the Rupa doesn't seem to reveal itself so much due to familiarity after some time.
That's our conditioned nature. So our entire bhakti practice is to counteract that conditioned nature. So hearing is not just when the recording is playing or the sitting in live class and hearing. That's just where we are opening the doors, these two doors, for the message to enter the heart. But after that, for the message to stick, it has to be ruminated upon. So think of how a cow eats. The cow grazes and collects all the grass, but that's not how it digests. then it comes and sits in a place, and then it's called chewing the cud. It ruminates, keeps on chewing and so our hearing must have that ruminating capacity or ruminating practice, that after I heard during the day, the reason I sent that verse on WhatsApp is with the hope that that verse we will read multiple times in the day. That verse is something we will think about. Rama, Kamalapatraksha, Sarva Sattva Manohara, Rupadakshinya Sampanna, Prasuto, Janakatmaje. And for each word, so much meaning has been given. So, Rama, and we hear here about Rama here in the holy name lectures or the holy name retreat classes. We hear about the holy name of the Lord, and that is our rumination. If we can't ruminate, then our eating or receiving is like that of a tiger or lion. We get it in, we don't chew, it goes through the system and gets ejected out fast. So the reason we want to be cow-like, that it's ruminated upon. Otherwise, the bhakti expression of it remains superficial. Well, yeah, some people are attracted to deity, some people are attracted to some other things. So in the beginning, yadrichaya, whichever way one gets attracted. The issue is not about how one got attracted. The issue is about how one sustains oneself through. For example, I got attracted to the process of bhakti because of prasadam. It's still the one that sustains me. I understand. But that cannot be the thing that nourishes me for the rest of my life. Although there is sukriti in it, no doubt about it. All agyata sukriti. What there must be something that holds or glues the philosophical understanding to the feelings in the heart. And that's the rumination, the taking the message and letting it nicely percolate, ruminate over time. And finally, to express it to somebody. Even if it is one's own spouse or a couple of friends or in the devotee circle, wherever you are, to say, today I heard this, these were the points, this is how it, even if it takes 5 minutes to say it, those 5 minutes of what we express back will make a solid foundation in the heart. So the language we have known about it is Shravanam, Smaranam, and Kirtanam. All three must thus be one formula. Shamakun.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wonderful, Prabhu, on the message on rumination and expressing it to someone.
Yeah,
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, sure.
You also mentioned here that even those who have animosity against Rama, they had only good things to say about Lord Ramachandra. And I have seen in devotees who ruminate on these qualities of Lord Ramachandra, they start getting these qualities. One of the words you said, he's Maryada Purushottam. He doesn't cross the line of Maryada, he doesn't allow others to cross the line of Maryada. Now, at some for some people, it becomes too tough to live this life of Maryada. They hear so much, but we are not ready to be at that level of Maryada, or especially so like being favorable to those who are favorable to us and unfavorable to us. It's the nature of our conditioned mind to categorize favorable, inimical, enemy, etc., etc. And we have different set of responses for different kinds of people. It just comes out just like that. That's the conditioned nature. And the other here part is uh, that we hear
Your voice got cut off, Shamakun.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. You're able to hear
Yeah.
me?
No, we lost you.
Okay. I, I was mentioning that sometimes we have our conditioning because of which we react with different people differently and end up making more enemies and categorizing some as friends, etc. So there is animosity that we generate by our own actions, possibly, or by our own responses. And at the same time, while we are reading the Charita, the greatest of the qualities of Lord Ramachandra, we recognize this is not the way to be. But to come to that stage seems a huge burden. It seems like an uphill task. It seems out of our nature, or I should say, my nature. So one way it can be said is hear more, assimilate more, ruminate more, and hopefully one day the mercy will come. Is that it, or is there something else?
There are two things. At such times, we take inspiration from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Namna Makari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kala. You made it very easy. You made it, you're very accessible. Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivam Idrisham. Idrisham is just see. Durdaivam Idrisham Ihajani Na Anuraga. Despite making it so easy for me, unfortunately, I don't have the anuraga, the attraction for you. That's just our condition, unfortunately. And one should repent that I have no raga, I don't have that attraction to the Supreme Lord. That's just my unfortunate condition. Now, some people can take that shelter of such, oh, I'm unfortunate, not do anything about it. So for such complacency or danger of complacency or resignation, oh, I'm durdaivam, na anuragaha. Krishna says to Arjuna, hridaya daurbalyam tektva. You have to do something. It's upon you. The ball is in your court to take whatever steps you need to take to get out of that malady. That's on you. I'm not saying you. Krishna is telling us it's on you. And that requires two aspects, because as soon as we say it's on you, the person may think, oh, I have to put in some effort. It is not only effort. Effort is a demonstration of my desire. But one must have to call out to that grace. Just before class, I was hearing the speaker, I was hearing someone saying, Rupa Goswami puts his finger in his mouth and repeatedly begging for Krishna's mercy. The finger in the mouth he was describing as the calf holding on to the udder of the mother cow and repeatedly asking for the affection, grace, that's the milk. And without one seriously seeking and calling out and requesting, and not once. So speaker was saying, if you ask Giriraj or Govardhan, I want something, and if it is something elevated, he might say, let's talk another time and see if you still have that desire. A year later, he might say, you still have that desire? 10 years later, he might say, you still have that desire? So persistent seeking means it should be a thing that goes on. It's not like I asked Ramachandra something today and then I didn't get an answer, so we're like, okay, forget it. It's not so important. It's a persistent call for mercy, and that's the life of a devotee. It may not show in one's actions, but whether it's not for others to see or not to see, it's irrelevant. But like we say, all human beings only see behavior. Only the Supreme Lord sees intent. Others, we cannot see intent of anybody. Only the Lord can see everybody's intentions. And that's what he reciprocates with. What's our intention? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Come closer.
Thank you so much.
Hold on, Hemangi wants to say something.
So actually, you just touched it at the end of what you responded to his second question, but it's also relevant to his first question, And same thing in the same line of thought, further, is that in Jaiva Dharma, Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about the 5 stages of, reaching perfection. He starts with first is the Shravana Dasha. So you have to constantly hear. And through that constant hearing then come to the Smarana Dasha, there's a stage called Varna Dasha. And Varna Dasha is what Prabhu was saying. There's a constant acceptance. Our faith may be not strong. We may not be so determined. It's like up and down. But there has to be moment to moment constant acceptance of who Krishna is, what is our relationship with Krishna. Like whatever we are hearing, there's a constant acceptance. And as you constantly accept the spiritual conceptions, eventually that becomes part of your smarana, and then you reach to the higher platforms. I've not read Jaiva Dharma. This is something I heard in a class. So I'm just repeating that. Since you like to read, you can go and refer Jaiva Dharma.
All right, 9:42. I know Radhadyuti had a question, but Radhadyuti, can you hold it till next time? I have to rush to work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.